up, you guys? This is Rob from Guy Plays, and today on the Daily Grind, we are going on a harrowing journey to one of the most toxic, brain-melting, common sense lacking, rage-inducing places in Warframe. It's literally like Warframe's upside down. Yes, we're going to be taking a look at that Reddit AMA. Now, for those of you guys who didn't know, after DevStream 98, Rebecca and the rest of the crew actually went on over to Reddit and participated in this massive AMA. Now, thank God they didn't do it on r/Warframe, because legitimately, you walk into the general area of that place and it's like this toxic gas cloud just consumes you and starts eating away at your brain. That's why you only ever hear from them like, blah, give us universal vacuum, blah, why is everything being nerfed, blah, the devs don't play their game. Blah. Like, legitimately, they just end up parroting the same stupid shit that floats around the internet in their little echo chamber. However, I decided to venture close to that area to go ahead and pick up some interesting tidbits out of that AMA for all of us to enjoy, because there were definitely some interesting things brought up that I think that you should hear about. So let's go ahead and jump on in. So I went ahead and did a little bit of reorganizing, and this whole first block is going to deal with operators, the whole issue with focus, and Cetus. So getting started, can warrior mode operators be used outside of Plains of Eidolon? And they mentioned, yes, once you are upgraded into warrior mode, there is no going back. The next question that kind of tied into that was, will the operator warriors have melee weapons? They answered, they won't to start, but they have what we're calling amps internally. There are component-based weapons that focus your innate Tenno energy in ways you can customize. So this I find very, very interesting. Basically what they're saying is straight out of the gate, we're gonna have access to Tenno warriors, we're gonna be able to use them anywhere, and we're gonna have these amps that are gonna let us customize the way that we fight with them straight out of the gate. Which to me is a little bit mind-blowing, because, you know, I thought that we would have to kind of like earn some stuff, or we would have to get some different customizations in order to make those amps start, you know, basically changing the way that we did things, which is really, really great, because you know what? As soon as we go into Plains of Eidolon, we'll have something new to toy around with. We won't have to worry about kind of gaining faction to get stuff. We'll just have these amps and we can fuck around with them straight out of the gate, and that's always nice. The next question is, are operator warriors, love the name, please keep it, usable by themselves without warframes? And in relation to the Eidolon fight, is it more resemblant to Kuva Guardians, or a complete and entirely new way to fight? Do I have to use the operator to remove the Eidolon guard and the warframe to kill it, or can I use only the operator/warframe to do so? They answered, warframe operators are not usable alone. So when I was reading this comment, a part of me was questioning whether they were talking about warrior operators not being usable alone in the sense of Eidolon fights, or in the sense of just general use. So definitely keep that in mind when I'm reading the answer. But warrior operators are not usable alone. Warframes are always essential for combat. And that's the thing that gets me, is they say warframes are always essential for combat. So I wonder if they're removing our damage dealing abilities with our operators, but giving us ways to kind of like debuff enemies or something. Find that really interesting, that the way they answered that. But don't want to spoil too much about the fight, but you will need to use a combination of both operator and warframe indeed. But use the operators to strip away their defenses, and then you put in parentheses shields, and then you can damage them with your warframes. And that was from Doug, a designer. Why, thank you very much, Doug. So this kind of harkens back to the assumptions that I had made about the original Eidolon fight, about there being kind of like weak spots, and maybe our operators taking advantage of those weak spots to bring down shields, and then our warframes are gonna have to go in and actually deal the damage. But like I was saying, as I was reading the question, I found it really interesting that they answered it in such a way that they said warframes are always essential for combat. I mean, I feel like right now, in the way that we're kind of like set up, I mean, with low-level content, we could take on operators. And why are they called operator warriors if we can't, like, you know, participate in combat with them? That's kind of like the weird thing that I'm dissecting this question. I'm like, what exactly do you mean, Doug? Do you just mean for Eidolons, or do you mean for everything? Now let's go ahead and move on to the next question. With the announcement of the new focus system, it's clear that we're losing energy overflow. This has been a staple of so many builds, let me roll my eyes right now, since focus initially released. Okay, alright, he brought it back, and those builds are now non-functional without a designated EV Trin / Hero, lots of energy pads, or Arcane Energize. I'm rolling my eyes again. These alternatives are either extremely expensive or require one of the 4 players to switch to a completely support-based frame, both of which are large sacrifices. My question to you is, what are your thoughts on the current energy economy? Is there an intentional plan / design behind it? Okay, I'm gonna let him answer the question first, or them answer the question first, and then I'm gonna chime in because there's so much eye rolling that is going on in my head right now, it's hard for me to contain it. But this is their statement. With all big changes, we try to look at systems it affects. We will be reviewing the use of this focus ability and see if we still require it, and if we do, where can that ability live if it no longer fits within the new focus system? Arcanes come to mind as a great place for something like this to go. One thing we failed to mention is new Arcanes will not be locked behind Trials gameplay, so they will be somewhat easier to collect, to be determined on location. And that was from Scott himself. So basically he's saying, you know, since they can't live in the focus trees anymore, we're gonna try to find other places to live, potentially Arcanes. All right, just remember, they were loosely goosey with this answer. They're like, Arcanes come to mind as a great place for something like this to go, but that was not a promise. Now, when he says, when this question asker, sorry, I don't know exactly what to call it, but when this guy says, this has been a staple of so many builds since Focus initially released, that I will give them. But here's the thing that I do have to remind you, they left out efficiency mods. Why is there no, no conversation about efficiency mods in this? They're like Trin, energy pads, Arcane Energize. All of these are external from the build. It's like they're saying, I don't want to change my build though. My build is perfect the way it is. Well, it's not perfect the way it is because it's unusable because you rely on so many things outside of your build to sustain your build. So instead of making somebody else change into a different Warframe just so that you can play your blind rage build, how about you use some efficiency mods? Did you ever consider using some efficiency mods? And maybe you don't need to have an offensive aura in your aura section and you put in a little energy regen in your aura section. I'm just saying that there are other options out there that are not forcing someone to switch, getting Arcane Energized, or all of this. Now, I'm gonna be straightforward with you. In several of the builds that I released, I had to not use Arcane Energize or Zeneric because I knew that if I used either one of those two in my builds, the people would criticize me because the build is technically unusable without it. So all I'm saying is maybe drop the blind rage, maybe put in some efficiency, and maybe your build will work instead of having to like beat the game's developers up to give you something to make your shitty build work. Oh, I didn't mean shitty build. Sorry. I meant shitty build, but I don't really mean it. But I mean, it's your choice to have that bad build. I mean, build. Sorry. We're gonna retract all of that. We're gonna bring it back. But all I'm saying is before, and they were right when they said, builds since Focus initially released. Guess what? There was a period before Focus released, and we were fine without it before then. Guess what? There's a whole bunch of people that have not ground up that many focus points to get to the Zeneric space for that, and they're using builds that focus totally fine. So what this is to me, it's saying that these players have a crutch that's the only way their build can work. So instead of changing their build, they're trying to change the game to help them so that their build works. It's kind of like demanding that reality give in to you because you don't like the way that reality is. You're like, listen, I don't like the fact that I don't have money, so reality, give me money. Reality, universe, give me money. It's not the way that it works. Sometimes you have to do some shit on your own to make your reality work. Make your build work, take the player responsibility for it, and just fucking put on some efficiency, for God's sakes, because again, that's not something that was mentioned anywhere in there. Alright, that's my rant for now. There will be another rant coming later. But we'll chat about that. Moving on. Question about focus schools. If the schools completely change and we prefer a different school with this next update, will we be able to get a lens respec? I really like this question. I have a greater xeneric lens installed on a solid amount of my gear. I spent lots of plat on that and I would hate to buy new lenses only to replace the ones I already have. Any thoughts on this? The lens, and this is the response, the lens respec is a really good point and we should consider it in the respec conversation. I thought this was such a good point to make because we really focused on the fact that, oh, we're going to get points and we're going to be able to spend those points anywhere. But what about the other investments we've made into getting lenses, whether we're crafting the lenses or we're picking up the lenses and they're kind of sitting in our inventory or they're sitting on our weapons? Plus, one of the things, and listen, I'm gonna hit DE where they need to get hit, and I'm gonna hit the community where they need to get hit. DE definitely needs to find a way for us to pull lenses off of items, because there have been several times where I've had a lens on a frame and I'm like, well, I'm trying to level up Vazarin, but Loki, who I want to use, has Xeneric on him. And I'm like, well, I don't want to use my points, and so does that mean I need to go do all of my focus farming for the day, then I can use Loki? So, I'm crossing my fingers that they consider that fact, and the fact that we need to consider kind of like a respect for the lenses we have. And I'm glad that this person put it into their brain. We're going to give a point to the Reddit. Moving along, and this one I found really interesting was, will Cetus daily standing limit be shared with the Syndicate standing, and will there be other ways to earn them besides the jobs? If no, the jobs will be refreshed daily? With a question mark? Currently, no, we don't have a Syndicate standing limit for the Cetus Syndicates. This could change with testing. Okay, I need to stress that. This could change with testing. The jobs refresh daily, giving you new job types to carry out. All activities inside Cetus and the planes have a chance to add or reduce the amount of standing you have. That shit shook me to the core, but let's go ahead and start with the first thing. At first, when Syndicates initially came out, they also did not have a cap to their standing. So keep that in mind. They might end up adding a cap. They specifically said this could change with testing. And as we know, freaking Glassframe's hammer got get and is gone now, and it changed with testing. So now this is something, that could end up being on the chopping block. So don't take that with 100%, take that with a little grain of salt. Don't take it, as fact. But one of the interesting things that I found is all activities inside Cetus and the planes have a chance to add or reduce the amount of standing you have. What could you potentially do to Cetus to reduce standing with them? Because, as far as I know, there is no competing faction. As far as I know, there is no competing faction. Is there another faction that we have to worry about? Or what actions could we potentially take that would reduce our standing? Are there different parts of Cetus that we have to worry about? Is it like Cetus on one side and then maybe Eidolon Hunter on the other side? Because remember, the Eidolon Hunter area, for those of you guys who aren't aware, is actually a little secret area off to the side. It's not like front and center in Cetus, so it's not necessarily something that maybe all of Cetus embraces. So maybe that's what it comes down to when you have to spare an Eidolon or you have to slay an Eidolon. Maybe sparing an Eidolon will get you, points with the Eidolon, with the people of Cetus, but maybe slaying the Eidolon will get you negative points with Cetus, but points with the Eidolon Hunter. I don't know. But that was very, very interesting. Cetus and the planes have a chance to add or reduce, or all activities inside Cetus and the planes have a chance to add or reduce the amount of standing you have. Very, very interesting. Another thing that was mentioned was, will the mod that got shown on TennoCon, Augur Message, be in PoE? And they blatantly say that's the plan. For those of you guys who don't know what Augur Message is, actually I'm not sure if that's the exact name, it's actually the set mods. So if you look at kind of their release right now, they've got Eidolons, they've got weapon crafting, they have a new Warframe, they have the armory for our operators, they have the new focus system, they have Eidolons. I am just kind of how? They have prospecting, they have fishing. I'm like, what? This is, as a content creator, my brain just died a little bit. It just went boop. I don't even know. And this is kind of why I get pissed at shit like people leaving messages for universal vacuum. Because all of the things that I just rattled off, well, maybe not all of those things, but a large chunk of those things are way more than talking about something as like petty and goalpost moving as universal vacuum. But we'll talk about that another day because I have other things that I want to bitch about. Moving down the line, regarding exploring the planes themselves, will it adopt a traditional MMO style of open world where players are able to roam freely? Will it be like Destiny's where other players drop in and out of each other's local instances? Is it possible for a player to have an instance of the planes all to themselves with their personal squad without worrying about other players? Now, we kind of already know the answer to this, but I do want to reiterate. Great question. For 1.0, we are focusing on traditional squad / solo that you know from Warframe, but in a huge, beautiful landscape. If you want to just fish and drink greedy milk, you can go solo, kill the Grenier by the lake, and get relaxed and throw out bait. Bad grammar. If you're jumping in with randoms, you can join in and roam in them during dynamic missions. If you want to really focus, squad up in Cetus and do intense dynamic jobs for Konzu to help the Ostrons. The thing that I loved about this is that they definitely focused on the fact that yes, you can do this solo, which is, I'm gonna be honest with you, as you're kind of like looking around at the landscape of the plains, it's just so stunning and so gorgeous, and it's one of those things where you can kind of just allow yourself to get lost in and kind of just go do the farming, go do the prospecting. And as I was playing Dauntless, you know, I've been mentioning Dauntless a lot lately because I've been playing some Dauntless. One of the things that's just nice for me is when I need some resources, I literally go into the outer world and I just farm solo. I just don't want to be bothered. I just want to kind of take my time, get all the things that I need to do. I don't need to go at anybody else's pace but my own. So I like the fact that they definitely pointed out the fact that I use the word fact too much, but you can go solo. Alright, so moving along, this is gonna be, we're gonna step outside the lands of Cetus now, and we're gonna get into some kind of mechanical things. So this person asks, hello, it's been a while since we heard about shield gating. Have you made any progress design-wise? I understand it will take a lot of time and balancing. Edit, also, what are the major challenges with it? Now, they responded, it hasn't made much progress. We do continue to argue about what's the best way to implement it is. What the best way to implement it is. The challenges are really in the fact that no one really likes the one-hit KO, but deciding if this feature is the best way to solve that. Now, I wanted to give that out to you guys as an update for what is going on with shield gating, because it's definitely something that I'm interested in. I actually am personally giving a big thumbs up to shield gating in kind of like any way, shape, or form that it comes in, because shields, you know, they have their weaknesses. They have a lot of weaknesses. Armor doesn't apply to them, so really their mitigation is not all that great, but you know, in shields defenses, shields do regenerate, which is fantastic for something like shield gating. So that's kind of my certain position on it. But let me just tell you, the dumbassery that came out from below, it's like this person makes, you know, a good point, is like, you know, bringing up a good topic, and then this is what happens with Reddit. They just take it and they just make it stupider and stupider and stupider with each comment. Somebody literally said, I agreed it might be beneficial to think about no hit off of an enemy is able to remove more than 30% of the maximum hit points. 30%, which means a level 100 Grenier cannot simply one-shot anyone. It would translate into 3 or 4 hits, but percentages can add and should be adjusted for fast-firing weapons. The basic idea is to avoid one-hit kills on players that are so frequent and annoying at higher levels. Bitch, please! Bitch, please, take that back. Do you realize your ass ain't level 100? Your ass is level 30. If your ass goes to fight level 100s, you're fighting something that is more than 3 times your level, and you don't think that you should be one-hit KO with that. Shut the fuck up. Are you really? For real? For real? Where is the common sense? So what? We're just gonna say level 200s can't one-hit kill you. You can't be killed. Like, please, baby. I'm sorry, but this is not fucking God mode. If there needs to be threat in this game, that's why the Eidolons exist. That's why there's difficulty. You don't want to take on difficult enemies. You don't want to fight enemies that actually pose a challenge. Go ahead, stick to sorties. You don't need to go into super, super high levels to fight this shit, but legitimately, if you are trying to get 30% damage reduction of to your maximum health pool, that's all that can be done to you at a time, baby, Are you insane? Like, legitimately, I just don't want to be able to die. Because you know what? Here's the thing. If you're gonna fight a level 100, have the balls to fight a fucking level 100 one-on-one. Do it. Do it like an actual grown-up. Because legitimately, this is like, well, I want to be able to fight them and I want to be able to kill them in like one hit, but they shouldn't be able to kill me in one hit. No, I should be able to wipe them out like completely with my uber cool weapons, but they can't do more than 30% of my health. That's just not fair. Even if they're like 3 times my level, even more than that, no, they shouldn't be able to kill me in one hit. I'm sorry, but you are stupid. You are stupid, 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 stupid. Like, I would understand if you don't want to get one hit killed by like, I don't know, a sniper or something, and you've got shields up for shield gating. I get it. Make shields worth it. But this person is saying nobody should be able to remove more than 30% of your maximum hit points at once. This is why I can't be on Reddit, because my blood pressure just be shooting through the roof. Sorry, take it back, go home. By the way, for anybody who wants to yell at me and says, they should be able to say whatever they want to say on the Reddit, Rob, don't tell them to shut up. Guess what? This is free speech. They can say whatever they want to say, but at the same time, they are not free of consequence. And their consequence is having to deal with my crazy ass. If you say something stupid, I'm the consequence. And guess what? You can be my consequence in the comments, but then I might be the consequence of your consequence and my consequence. So that's all up to you and how you want to spend your days. Let's move along to something a little bit more interesting. And this one I really, really liked. How was the Umbra series designed in the first place? What was the inspiration? Love this. I was like, oh my god, let's move on from that dumbass. Let's wash it clean with a little bit of Umbra. With Excalibur Prime on Founders lockdown in the global build, we were tasked to create a version of Excalibur Prime for the China PC build, but it had to be different. Our Prime Warframes varied in light and dark color schemes, so Minky thought a dark version of Excalibur Prime would be cool. At the same time, we were also working on PBR and newer cloth physics, and Umbra was an early test of that with extra shiny trim and a flowing Sayandana. The result was Excalibur Umbra. However, the concept for Umbra's design is not nearly as intriguing as the plans we have for it in the future. Ooh, Dave! Mr. Dave the producer! You was piqued my interest. You was piqued my interest. The intrigue is not nearly as intriguing as our plans for him in the future. What are you trying to say? What are you trying to say? Because now, listen, I'm thinking in my, maybe it's just storyline, okay? I'm just putting it out there. Maybe it's just storyline. Maybe it has nothing to do with, you know, anything like mechanical, any mechanical changes or anything different from that. But that hint though, that hint just like hit me right in my loins, and I was just like, intriguing is what you have for him in the future. Is there like some sort of mechanic tied to him? Dave, tell me your secrets. I would like to know. Now we're gonna close this out with some niceties, because as you know, we gotta leave on a high note. We gotta have something nice to smile upon. They did ask, is there any sign of a Vault Deluxe skin in the future? Now they answered back and they didn't really say anything. However, for some reason there has been floating around this graphic of a Vault alt skin concept, and I was kind of like, all right, people were telling me that they got it from that Reddit, and to be honest with you, I scrolled around, I could not find it, but they are saying that this is the concept art for the Vault Deluxe skin, which I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm kind of meh about. I'm not super excited about it, but of course it did not get the polish that the Octavia Deluxe skin got in concept work. So maybe, you know, they need a little bit more time to polish up its concept, make it nice and pretty for you guys. But another thing they asked is there any news on a new Ember Deluxe skin? And interestingly enough, they stated, we will show a new look on the next dev stream. Dun dun dun! So Ember is confirmed to get a new version of the Deluxe skin. I don't know if it's going to be based off of the one that they already had, or if it's going to be a completely different one. Regardless, I cannot wait to see it, because the Mag one looks fantastic. The Octavia concept looks amazing. The Vault's a little work, but you know what? I'm excited to see what they do in the future, and I'm going to be honest with you, the art team really seems to be stepping up to the plate with all of the things that they are bringing, and I'm kind of loving some of the new things. Like with Hydroid Prime, they did some things to his Prime models, and I'm not sure if it was from Minky or if it was from the new art team, but there are definitely some things that were done to this prime that were never done to any of the other primes before. So part of me is like, I'm looking at you, art team. I'm looking at you. But that about does it for the Reddit AMA. Yes, I know that there was a question of the universal vacuum, but I'm trying to save my blood pressure for a different day, and I'm sure that there will be enough unsubs from the things stated in this video, but we need to spread out those unsubs. Regardless, I'm gonna leave it here for you guys. I hope you guys found that enlightening and entertaining. I hope it shed some really interesting light on things. Like, let me know what you feel about the deluxe skin. Let me know how you feel about the potential gain and loss of the standing and Cetus. Let me know how you guys feel about the amps that our Tenno are going to be able to use and be able to customize straight out of the gate. Let me know how you feel about that. Let me know how you feel about the massive amounts of releases that they're going to be doing with Planes of Eidolon. Is your brain breaking when you literally list out all of the things that they're coming up with? Toss that in the comments below, and as always, love somebody, hurt nobody, and touch your body. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye!